So real evidence here of what a dry summer we've had, not very much rain, and the level of the reservoir really shows that. So here we are, Errwood Reservoir, very controversial when it was first built, when it was first mooted to be built in the 1930s, because this was an occupied valley. So really good evidence that this was once home to farmers and other workers. You can see the wall lines. We're going to go down a bit closer. You can see some steps just over there, and you can see evidence that this was a working landscape. So people once lived here. There were homes here. People grew up, people were born, people died. They possibly even went to school. I don't know if there was a school. I'll have to look it up in this when I get home. But this was very much a working landscape that was occupied by people earning a living. You can see the old wall line here, and you can see the gateposts in the distance. Evidence that things were happening here. So unlike the dogs, I do mind getting wet, and I'm about to try, and well, that went reasonably successfully. You can't help but think as you're walking around places like this what it must have been like to have lived here. If the village was evacuated in the early part of the 20th century, we're now talking about nearly 100 years. That means that there are people living in Buxton or in the surrounding area whose families lived here and worked here. So there's very much a link with the past. But give it another 100 years and this will have changed. Everybody will have passed on. There'll be no oral history, and people will just see it as being somewhere that there's a record of it. It's on paper, there are photographs, but there's no living link. So I'm no expert on the history of this village, but I suspect that I'm walking down what would have been the main road into the village, and that the road that comes along the hillside up here now is probably a new road built when the reservoir was created and the valley flooded. You get the impression that these were not steps leading up to somebody's house, because they seem to have been laid in a very uneven fashion. It's sloping down, typical for slipping on. So these steps seem to have been leading up to the what could have been regarded as a cattle trough. Old trough here, not quite sure what this would have been used for. You can see the hole at the end where liquid drained out. Seems to be a bit too shallow to have been a water trough, but who knows. And again, you can see the way in which it's been built into this little spot. You can see what looks to be the surrounding wall just there. So this meant something to somebody, didn't it, in the past? So this trough seems to be more likely to have been a water trough for animals to drink at. It's deeper and would be able to hold more water. So looking here, we can see what looks to be old roof tiles. You can see the holes at the top, which would have been the place where the tiles were nailed together. So this used to be somebody's roof. I wonder whose it was. One of the interesting things for me is that in 1965, the original Packhorse Bridge, which was further down the valley in the area now flooded, was moved and completely reassembled, crossing the River Goyt further upstream, and it can be seen today by people who stop at the Goytscliff Quarry area, park the car and just walk down and have a look at the bridge. It's really a good little feature, and as you can see, looking very much like it would have done in its original location.